Welcome on in, episode 43 of the Talking Fires podcast. Ben Fadden here with Jacob Zimmermann. Definitely did not get the results we wanted earlier today. Here recording on Wednesday. It'll go out Thursday. Sorry, I kind of lied about the two episodes. We recorded two episodes. We're recording two episodes today. The Jared Carabas interview was long and great, so I thought that would be great. Just to have that out there today, Wednesday, and then tomorrow, which it'll be today, technically when everyone's
So
listening
weird.
and watching this episode. I figured just to have the trade deadline, which we're going to get talking to after this Braves recap. I just felt that would be better timing, space these things out. So first off, with this Braves series, it was only two games because the third game got stopped in the middle of the game, got suspended. Still don't know when. Still don't know what time that'll resume. Still don't know where, if that'll be at Petco later in September. But we'll get to that. Starting off with game one, this game originally was scheduled for Monday, was postponed to Wednesday. And that was kind of frustrating because, you wanted to see the Padres kind of rebound from the Sunday loss to the Nats. So that obviously didn't happen, but was able to get the Skip Schumacher interview in while he was at the hotel. So that was great. You can listen to that on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, YouTube, episode 41. That was great. Behind the scenes stuff, Hosmer's adjustments, which I kind of did a mini breakdown on. Just a great interview all around. And I really hope Skip, if he wants to be a manager, he definitely gets another chance because now he's ready. He mentioned that he wasn't ready. Now that I think that he definitely is. So moving to Tuesday, which was really game one of the series, even though it was supposed to be game two. Prior to the game, Tingler told the media that Austin Nola could rejoin the team in Miami. So that was great news. Braves end up winning this one 2-1. As one problem, went away, and that was the pitching, the starting pitching not doing well. Another problem arose, and that was the offense just not hitting. And maybe that was the different game plan that messed with the offense. They were preparing for Kyle Muller. Now they get Tuki Toussaint because of the day, which it doesn't make sense to me, really. I don't understand why they had Muller going Monday and then they push the game back and then they have him rest another day before going Wednesday. That didn't really make sense. You'd think that they just do what the Padres did with Darvish, had him Monday, you push him back to Tuesday. If that didn't happen, I think the different game plan messed with the offense a little. Like I mentioned, scheduled to face Muller. Snitker changed it up. Tuki Toussaint pitched after the postponement Monday. Offense recorded only 5 hits, 3 of them off of Toussaint. Just they couldn't get anything going. Grisham, Cronenworth, Pham, top half of the order. 0 for 10 at the plate. So that can't really happen if you want to, do anything. String together hits, home runs are good and all, but when you need things, you need runs produced other than home runs. When the offense isn't producing, I'm sorry, you're not going to win very many games. Darvish, he pitched well. It was very encouraging. 5.5 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Then the homer to Freddie Freeman ended up being the difference, the second run of the game for Atlanta. Pitch was good on the outside corner. Freeman's just
he's a great
powerful.
hitter.
He's a great hitter. He's one of those few contact hitters that has power pretty much regardless of where the pitch is thrown. Him and Juan Soto, stand out to me. Darvish, but just getting back to Darvish, overall, I thought it was a good start for him. It was definitely something encouraging because, going into the All-Star break, he didn't go to the All-Star game, didn't pitch, obviously, because he was dealing with the hip stuff. That looks like it's gone, or at least it's manageable. And it looks like he's back to being the Darvish he was before. He didn't have those, strongest starts. And it seems like Jace Tingler, at least, is kind of attributing it to a little bit of injury So good news all around, I think, from Darvish. Yeah, they lose the game, but the offense only scored 1 run. So that's obviously going to happen. Yeah, just over your thoughts on Darvish. Uh, Again, that's the story. I think the offense can have an off night. I think the story is Darvish, looking like he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean that's the one positive it seemed like you could take away from this game, besides just the overall really good pitching from not only starter Darvish, obviously, but the bullpen did really well too. They allowed one total hit after that, and looks like two and a third inning didn't allow only allowed one hit. But Darvish looked good though. 95 pitches through 5 2/3 inning, only 2 earned runs. I mean that seems like a lot for Darvish, but it's really not. I mean, when you have an offense like this, you got to produce, and that seems like it's been the problem for a bunch of games this year. You got to produce. You got to have you got to string together runs, and when you only have 3 hits over a guy that I think that was his debut.
Yeah,
Um,
season debut. Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, he absolutely killed the Padres. I don't know if it's just they didn't see him, something new. I don't know if it was they got pushed back. There's a ton of excuses you can make, but at the end of the day, you just got to string together runs because the pitching was phenomenal. Yu Darvish looked really good. That's a big positive you can take away from it.
Yeah. Again, the Nola news was good that he's going to rejoin the team in Miami. It seems like Padres fell to 55 and 42. Obviously, they had a doubleheader ahead of them, so you wanted Darvish to provide innings, and he pretty much did that. Going into the 6th inning. Wednesday, 9:20 a.m. Pacific time was Game 1. Chris Paddock on the mound. Reese Kinnear would be Game 2, and Chris Paddock was absolutely amazing. You could say what you want about him. You can say that he needed the break. He needed to get his mind right. Whatever he did, it didn't look great the first inning against the Nationals. 3 runs, after your team gave you 3 runs on offense in the first. But then he settled in. This game, he doesn't even give up a run. Uh,
He was killing it.
through 3 scoreless innings for the first time in 6 starts. Uh, the one warning track flyout by Jock Peterson was the only damage, if you want to call it
I
damage. Or
I think that was like
any.
the first batter of the game too.
No, 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 no. This one was I want to say 3rd inning.
Oh,
Um,
Jock had a pretty good hit one on the first batter too.
yeah,
That one was pretty. That was dead center though.
yeah. The Kimsack fly, Tatis's 29th homer of the year, made it 3-0. The Tatis homer was a 2-run homer, gave him insurance. It ended up being really, really valuable because they win 3-2, so they needed that homer in the 5th inning. Wild pitch scored Freeman, sac fly made it 3-2 after 6, so they get 2 runs there, but that wasn't enough. Melanson came and got the save.
Mhm.
Paddock is the story. Tingler said it. Couldn't agree with him more. He was outstanding today. 77 pitches. He would have gone longer had it not been a doubleheader. It's a doubleheader, shortened game, 7 innings. Uh, you know your mindset changes as a manager because now you only need that starter going 5 innings like Paddock did, because then at least if you have two good relievers in the 6th and 7th inning, um, like the Padres do with Pomerantz and Melanson when both are on. And that's what happened. They stuck to the game plan. And Paddock, again, was great. No runs, no walks, which is huge. 3 hits and 1 strikeout. I don't care how many strikeouts Paddock has in starts. That means nothing. Only thing that matters is the runs column. And it was perfect, 0. 5 groundouts, 6 flyouts, pitching to contact is where Paddock's at his best. Uh, you look at Paddock highlights 2019. It was about the strikeout. It was about the fastball up in the zone. But when he attacks, when he's aggressive, when he's confident, he's attacking the zone. These major league hitters are not going to want to wait, till there's 2 strikes or it's deep in the count. They're going to want to attack, and that's going to lead to early contact, lower pitch count, which we saw, 77 pitches, and that's definitely an ingredient, or the route for success. So if Paddock can continue doing this, he's not going to hear much whining from any Padre fans.
Oh yeah, 100% nailed it on the head. When you attack the strike zone, you make batters swing. Uh, that automatically leads to lower pitch counts, as you said. I mean, unless they're having 10 pitch foul ball at bats, you're going to get out of innings if you can force them to just hit for contact, let your defense work for you. And that worked to near perfection. I mean, 5 innings pitched, 77 pitches. That's perfect. That's phenomenal for Chris Paddock. A very good bounce back start. Only 1 strikeout, but that's nothing you can really care about when he's putting up 0 earned runs, 0 runs allowed. Yeah, and then the offense was really good too. Melancon came in and closed it for number 28. Yeah, just an overall really good game. Just that one little kind of sloppy inning in the bottom of the 6th, but other than that, very good 7-inning game, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Again, 5 groundouts, 6 flyouts. So 11 of those outs that he had, 11 of 15 outs. Is that even right? 11. How else did he get the outs then? Oh, okay. Double plays. Yeah. Duh. But yeah, good outing overall from Paddock. Again, he's just going to have to keep building off of it. Supposedly, there was this book that Larry Rothschild gave him, like the ABCs of pitching over the All-Star break. Maybe he read that. He said that he was reading some of things in there about you can't be afraid to fail and all the cliches and stuff. It's like, yeah, obvious. Yeah, that's the truth. When you're afraid to fail, you're especially on the mound. You want to, nibble like Blake Snell's done this year. You want to not maybe use the pitch that you're most confident in because maybe earlier in the outing that pitch didn't work to batter A or batter B. But you just have to keep going, be confident, because in the end, when you're on the mound alone, that's probably the loneliest spot ever, especially when you're struggling. Who else do you have but you and your confidence and what got you there? And Paddock is definitely using what's gotten him there. So, nothing. Obviously, wishing nothing but success for this guy, and if
Yeah.
he can continue doing this, this rotation gets deeper, and maybe doesn't, make Preller have as
Yes,
much pressure
exactly. Yeah.
to get another starter. Or he's gonna go get one. I'm
I think
confident in
so.
that,
Yeah.
but the need to get a higher caliber starter or a guy that has to eat innings. Maybe it's a guy that's just a better overall pitcher and not a guy that
Yeah.
just eats innings. Uh,
Yeah. 100%.
moving to game 3. Uh, this stupid split doubleheader thing. The game, if they just had a regular doubleheader, back to back, they would have got the game in. But no, they decide to try to make more money off of Braves fans by cleaning the ballpark and exiting all these fans for and making them pay for a 9-inning game when it was only a 7-inning game. So I just don't understand the split admission double headers in terms of valuing the fans, because it absolutely doesn't. And you didn't value the players in this situation because they ended up getting rained on and sitting there for 2 hours and just to say go home, or the
Yeah.
Padres say get on a flight and go to Miami without knowing when you're going to finish this Braves series. But in terms of what happened, Padres were up 5-4 when the game, the rain delay happened. Then hours later, it gets suspended. Supposedly it was like a river in the warning track, and they still kept waiting it out. A Hosmer sack fly. Tatis scored on a wild pitch. And Kim, 2 RBI double,
Okay.
made it 4-0 Padres after 1/2 inning. Cronenworth had an RBI single, made it 5-0. A 4-run second inning by Atlanta, 2 off of Caner, 2 off of Daniel Camarena, made it 5-4. Then obviously the rain delay in the middle of the 5th with Tim Hill about to start, the bottom of the 5th. And the umpiring crew said, nope, we're going to pack it in. Hassan Kim was amazing today.
Yeah.
I wanted to give props to Profar. He made good plays in center. Finally,
Yeah. Being a star.
he played well in the field. Played good at the plate. But Hassan Kim was great defensively. What's new? That's never been the issue. It's been the
That bad.
offense,
Yeah.
and he showed up pretty much all day long. He was rewarded with more at bats in the second game. I don't care if that was the plan, but he still got it. I mean, the 2 RBI double in the gap was great, and that was needed. I get the game's not over, but that is what kept this lead. Obviously, with the Cronenworth RBI, Hosmer and Tatis, but those 2 runs are now huge because now the Padres have the lead to go into whenever this game decides to get finished.
Yeah.
Just what could you speak to Hassan Kim's day?
I mean, nailed it on the head. I mean, this was his game. Everyone on Twitter was talking about, it's the Ha-Sung Kim game. It's the Ha-Sung Kim day overall. He was making excellent plays out there in the defensive end. And his bat finally shut up. That was the huge thing. Can he catch up to major league speed, major league pitch speed? And he finally did, it felt like. That double kind of rallied the troops a little bit. Cronenworth then gave us a little bit more insurance, which, I mean, obviously gave us the lead after they scored 4. Yeah, just overall pretty good from the offense, pitching. I mean, it's Daniel Camarena. I mean, you're not really expecting guys like that to shut guys out, but hopefully when this game resumes, if it resumes, you can look back and say that that Ha-Sung Kim day, Ha-Sung Kim's at bats, Ha-Sung Kim's defensive plays, they helped save us and help win this game for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. We can't really talk a whole lot about this game because it's not over.
Exactly. I mean, it was a
So
5-inning something game.
they still, as of this recording, they don't know a date yet. They don't know if it's going to be in September at Petco when the Padres play the Braves again. They don't know if it's going to be on one of the 4 common off days they have. Just a bad situation that could have been
Yeah,
avoided by just having a regular doubleheader, letting
but they need
fans
money.
be there and pay their ticket instead of paying more than what they deserve, what they were gonna get, what they were guaranteed to get. So yeah, just a bad situation overall. And now we don't even have a conclusion to the game.
Yeah.
So Padres still sit at 56 and 42 going into this Miami series. If all goes well, it's snow on Thursday, Musgrove Friday, weather's on Saturday, assuming that everything, goes well leading up to that. Weather's, we definitely got lucky. He's not
Yeah,
out for the year or anything like that after
that
that
was scary.
injury or whatever. Right before the All-Star break, Darvish would pitch Sunday, it seems like. And Nola should be ready to join the team tomorrow or today when you're
Excited. Yeah.
listening and watching this. So Austin Nola, we've talked about it, on a recent episode. He's definitely going to provide an impact because it takes a little bit of the burden off of Victor Caratini. Austin Nola came into this year on paper as the starting catcher because he's a better catcher, it seems like. He commands the team, the pitching staff, I mean. He's a good hitter. He's supposed to be a better hitter than Caratini. He showed that. He's a gritty guy, fights through injuries. He had a broken foot last year. He said, no problem. I'm going to fight through it. Just a quiet guy, doesn't, go, he's not ever going to be a face of a team at all, but he's just your, gritty catcher. And so he might not get noticed, if he stays healthy the rest of the year, but he's definitely going to, get his praise, I think, going into the series opener if he starts, because it's something that the Padres have missed. Webster Rivas has been pretty good. He isn't a major league catcher really, at least in the Padres state. But I think he's filled in pretty well. But it's time to have Nola, be healthy, and I can't wait for Caratini to not have to have the burden of being in the lineup every day. because I think that did take a toll on his, offense a little bit. Um, Obviously, he probably wasn't expecting to catch this much going into the year. So obviously going back to the role that he probably projected himself to be in probably will, allow him to play better the days that he does play.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that 100%. I mean, Webb Sarifas has been he's been good enough, I should say. He's been average, he's been there, but I think the big thing with him is just, you know, that it seems like whenever he's catching, the pitching is just a little off, like compared to Victor Caratini or compared to when Austin Nola's there. And I think that's the big thing. Maybe if Snell has Austin Nola back there, maybe maybe there'll be a little more confidence between him. Something different might show up. We might see a different Blake Snell. We might see that Snell that we saw against the Mets when they were here in Petco, and he was saying, "This is my house." I want that Snell back. So hopefully, maybe if Austin Nola comes back, that shows up. It's a big question, but it'll be really great to give Victor Caratini a less workload, because he's been everything we could have asked for and more, I think, out of him. And I think that once he gets back to that role that he was thinking about here when he got traded here, he can show up even more. He can start hitting the ball a little bit better. Can be more fresh. So yeah, that's just the big thing. I think that the pitching, I think, will be a lot better with Austin Nola in this lineup, or at least that's what I'm hoping for, because it seems like with Webb Sarifas in there, it's a little bit off.
Mm-hmm. Now the pitching could get better through the deadline, so we'll move to that now.
Yeah.
Jeff Passan reported Tuesday that the Padres are willing to go over the $210 million luxury tax threshold. They're about $7.7 million away via Spot Track, the contract site. They're not going to go over it for like a Danny Duffy or a smaller name pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I've compiled a list of starting pitcher, relief pitchers, position players that could be potential, targets for the Padres. Get your thoughts on that. The rest of the episode will be devoted to the starting, pitchers, relievers, position players, Padres trade deadline targets. Jacob, so first off, starting pitchers, Chris Paddock, Ryan Weathers, they don't, they're not Yu Darvish, I'll put it that way. Blake Snell hasn't provided the innings. Joe Musgrove has had to grind through starts. It will help. You don't know what you're going to get out of Lamet health-wise. It helps to get another starter or another two, maybe. So who are some starting pitching names that you're thinking of?
Well, the big one, when you think of, you don't want to really go over the luxury tax right there, right? I mean, obviously you're willing to do that, but you're not willing to do that for a guy, like you said, like Danny Duffy. A guy that comes to my mind is someone within our own division. I mean, as far as I know, his contract won't put us over, but John Gray, I mean, I think he's been for Colorado, I think he's been pretty good. I mean, he has a 3.68 ERA this year, through 17 games, 6-6 record. I mean, that's pretty good for the Colorado Rockies. I think he's been their best pitcher besides German Marquez. And I think, if I think we can get him pretty cheap, I should say. Especially with Colorado, they seem to be giving out free trades, it seems like, especially with that Nolan Arenado one. But yeah, that's a name. Another one that comes to mind that I don't have the stats for right now is Kyle Gibson. I'm not sure what his contract is, but I know that he might be a little bit more expensive just because, he was an all-star.
Yeah, they're selling high on him. Yeah.
Yeah. And that might be a little bit too much to go for a guy like Kyle Gibson. I mean, I wouldn't trade big name prospects for Kyle Gibson. Yeah, those are the two names I got. I mean, I was thinking Danny Duffy, but I wouldn't just do that to go over the luxury tax hold.
Yeah. So John Gray, age 29 season. He's owed $6 million this year, free agent at the end of the year. A 1.215 WHIP, so that's pretty good. You'd like it to be under one, but again, these guys, You're not gonna
Score,
find
yeah.
you're not gonna find guys with a whip under one who are just readily available in teams saying here take them. Andrew Heaney's another name, age 30,
Oh,
of the
Angels.
Angels. His ERA is not great, but 16 starts, 81 innings, whip just above 1.3, 6.75 million this year, free agent at the end of the year. Uh, that's probably one of the last, resort options, I
Yeah.
think, just because he hasn't really pitched great this year. And I don't think he, has pitched to deserve, almost 7 million this year. But again, it's another option. I wouldn't hate to see him, out of the bullpen if that is an option at all. Uh, John Lester is an option that I love. He's only making 2 million according to Spot Track, which I couldn't believe. Uh, John
He can
Lester, the
rake too,
Hall of Famer,
evidently.
age 37, 4.99 ERA, so that doesn't blow anyone away, but he's an innings eater, 15 starts,
Oh, yeah.
70.1 innings, a 1.649 whip, so that's pretty high, but the Padres wouldn't be trading him to be an ace. They're trading for him to give them innings, to be a leader in the clubhouse. To, I feel like he's one of those guys that would flip the switch. He comes over to a team that's really contending. You can say the Nats are contending, whatever, but to a team that's really like in the playoffs or going to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
John Lester, he's a guy that flips the switch. He's one of those guys that, flips the switch for me. Jared Krabas said earlier on our interview, he said that he'd love John Lester to be a Padre. Uh,
I
he's
could see
one of those
that. Yeah.
guys that I think would fit in. Again, 2 million that allows you to make other moves, whether it's the bullpen, a bench bat, something like that. So I think he's a good fit. Will it be done? I don't know. Uh, you know, you wouldn't have to give up really anything
Yeah.
because he's 37. This isn't Max Scherzer you're trading for. So I think that's an option to look into. Tyler Anderson is another one, age 31. He's faced the Padres a couple of times this year with Pittsburgh, a 4.35 ERA, 17 starts. This guy's really an innings eater. Mentioned
Yeah.
Andrew Heaney, 81
Mhm.
innings. You mentioned John Gray, 93. You mentioned Lester, 70. Tyler Anderson's at 97.
Oh,
All these stats that I'm going to read off are as of Tuesday, July 20th, by the way. So if you say, oh, Ben, that's not right. Well, okay, it's as of Tuesday. 70, excuse me, 97 in the third innings for Anderson, a 1-1 or almost a 1-2 whip. So that's pretty good for the innings that he's pitching on a really bad team. 2.5 million. Again, like Lester, a cheaper contract, allows you to make moves elsewhere. You're obviously not in danger of going over the threshold at all. That's definitely an option. Now,
yep.
we're saying that it's an option and all that, but we also have to take in effect that there's a bunch of teams that would want him. There's a bunch of teams that would want a John Gray. There's going to be some teams that would want a John Lester. There's going to be some teams that'll, inquire about an Andrew Heaney or guys like or Kenta Maeda, Michael Pineda, guys, Jose Barrios, guys like that. So
There it is. Yeah.
obviously, and the Dodgers are definitely right at the top of the list, just
Yep.
like the Padres.
That's
Bowers
crazy.
not returning this year. Dustin May out for the year. They need help in the rotation just like we do. So it's not a sure thing that any of this is going to happen, but this is strictly just Padres trade deadline targets, who fits the team under the threshold, preferably, um, you know, guys that are probably on expiring contracts because that would fit the team going in the next year where you don't have to worry about their contract because they're not going to be probably used. They're not going to fit next year. Clevenger's coming back. Hopefully,
Yep.
Lamette's healthy. Morhone hopefully comes back healthy. Gore hopefully can find it to get it together. There's going to be plenty. Weather's obviously plenty of
Mhm.
options. You know, next year. So you need expiring contracts because the rotations, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be loaded with internal options going into next year. So that's where we stand on that. Again, Andrew, these are just a couple names, a few names on expiring contracts. cheaper contracts. Andrew Heaney with the Angels, John Gray with the Rockies, John Lester with the Nats, Tyler Anderson with the Pirates. Relievers now. Any names that you think of, Jacob?
I mean, the one that comes to my mind, the one guy I've been following this whole year is Richard Rodriguez. I really like him from the Pirates.
Okay.
He has a kind of a high ERA, at least for me, for a reliever. He's 31, has a 2.65 ERA. What's his whip? Let me see. It's a .804. Innings, or as far as win loss, he's 4-2 this year in 36 games. I know win loss doesn't really matter, but let me just through 37 and a third innings. I mean, I think Pittsburgh, he might be a little bit pricey, considering I think he's one of the more better options at reliever that's available at the trade deadline.
What's his contract?
I'm not sure. Let me look it up real quick. I just pulled up the stats,
Yeah, he's been really good with Pittsburgh.
yeah.
I think he closed a game against us earlier this year, probably 2. Yeah, he's an option, definitely. And that also, while Jacob's looking that up, that's another.
He's on a 1-year deal.
1 year.
He's a rental, yeah. 1.7 million.
How one what?
1.7 million.
Wow.
That's pretty cheap.
Well, that definitely echoes the point that many teams will be interested. So
that's true. Yeah.
What are the Padres willing to give up for 1 year of, okay, a guy that they might be able to bring back, but also one guy that has other options at the end of the year. So he's an option. And he's definitely, a better option than some of the names I'll read. In terms of contract, in terms of how he's been this year. A few other guys I had, Ian Kennedy, age 36, former Padre. He was a starter then. He's been a reliever with Kansas City and Texas now. He's been really good. 2.59 ERA, 15 saves, 31 and a third innings, a whip just above 1. 2.15 million is his contract this year. I believe he's a free agent at the end of the year. So he's been really good.
That's pretty much what we need, though, is just half year rentals, pretty much, kind of like that Machado with the Dodgers.
Yeah, and something
like that.
Someone that has closing experience to take some load off of Melanson. Going into, obviously it matters where they are in the division, but going, into the postseason. Oh, Jansen just blew his second straight save. Nice. Anyway, back to the relievers. So Kennedy, he could help out Melanson. He has closing experience. He's closing right now. So if Melanson ever needs a blow, that's an option without having to, take Pomerantz out of an 8th inning, the 7th inning role, putting Tim Hill in a situation he's not familiar in. So he's a fit. Brad Brock, age 35, in Cincinnati, 3.8 ERA, just over 23 innings, 29 strikeouts, a 1.3 whip. $570,500 is his contract, free agent at the end of the year. So when you're talking about nothing, that's in terms of the contract.
Yeah.
You want a starter? Okay, go ahead and spend the money. This guy's nothing. And it's a good fit. And I think he'll definitely get traded depending on what Cincinnati does. They can't really be confident that they're going to beat us in the wild card.
Yeah, I think they're going to be sellers pretty soon.
Yeah. I saw Castellanos got hurt today. I think he's definitely going to be the Padres are going to be a suitor for him. But a lot of other teams will be as well because of his contract.
That contract, yeah.
Because it's a minor league contract, essentially, or a rookie major league deal. Craig Kimbrell's another guy, age 33. This guy I don't like. I don't want him, in a Padre uniform. People are, want him, a big name. Come back to San Diego and, win a World Series, which you couldn't do, in 15. Let's see, 6.53 ERA. He's been great this year. I'm not trying to deny him of his greatness this year. 21 saves, an all-star, 58 strikeouts. He pitched like the 9th inning, I think, of the all-star game for the NL.
Yep.
a whip under one, well under one. But the contract concerns me. 16 million this year. That's way over the threshold. 16 mil in 2022. So you're not just on the hook this year, but next year as well. That's not ideal. And I was talking about this with Jared Carabas earlier. Um, people want the big names. We'll get to this with the position players too. They want the big names. Kimbrel's a big name. All-star. We see, he's probably destined for the Hall of Fame. They've seen what he's done this year. He's an all-star. But what they fail to, realize is AJ Preller has a job not to just build now, but build for next year, build for the years to come. And not only would you have to pay the luxury tax now, for which wouldn't even guarantee you a World Series, it would now make you pay that much money next year for a guy that has not been consistent since the Red Sox, right?
Yeah, after he left us.
Yeah. Well, I've seen what he's done before this year with the Cubs, and it has not been pretty. I've seen, Cubs fans when they signed Kimbrel, excuse me, how excited they were, and okay, yeah, be excited. He's coming off a World Series and all that. But I also saw Cubs fans, be disappointed with the performance, and I'm just not confident that he can do this, next year as well. And that's something that the front office really has to judge. So your thought, are you thinking the same thing with Kimbrel, or are you want him?
I mean, I don't really for Craig Kimbrel. I think his time in San Diego is kind of done. I know that's a big name. I know that will obviously probably sell a couple more tickets. I mean, I know we're pretty much close to sold out a lot of the times now since we're doing good, but he's a big name. That's the thing. It's a business too. At the end of the day, you got to sell tickets. But I don't for 16 mil to have to do that for the rest of this year. I mean, you're not guaranteed a World Series, as you said. You're not even guaranteed to win the division.
Yeah, you
With
might
the
bring him in
Giants.
for a one-game playoff where you have him as your closer, and you don't even get a chance to close. So
Exactly. I mean, and then you're also kind of saying "f you" to Mark Melanson. I mean, he's been your guy this year. You're bringing in a closer. I know he's probably the best closer right now, Craig Kimbrel. At least with the ERA wise, you mentioned the saves too. Um, you're kind of saying "f you" to Mark Melanson, who's been your guy. You kind of trust him. I know that a lot of Padre fans have started not to trust Melanson as much, me included. I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in him, but I don't think it's you go out and get another high end closer who you're going to put in the end of the game. I think you go get a reliever that's maybe a seventh or eighth inning guy, like how Drew Pomeranz kind of is right now.
I don't even think it's that. I think the 7, 8, 9 is Tim Hill, Craig Stammen sometimes, uh, Pomerantz, Melanson. I think it's more just, sixth inning maybe, or
Yeah,
another long guy that's the potential of, pitching multiple innings, coming in if a starter can't go longer than wanted or desired. Um, I don't think it needs to be this big guy. If you're gonna deserve
exactly.
it, if you're gonna allocate bigger money towards somewhere in the pitching staff, it's gonna be the rotation. I don't think it would be the bullpen, just because
100%.
there's not what names are out there. I mean, like there's no need to go way, overboard for Kimbrel. There's when you have Melanson, you have Pomerantz,
Exactly.
you have a solid core. You get Matt Strom back later this year, who might actually just be the trade deadline addition. By the way, they might not even add to the bullpen because we don't know really that much of how Matt Strom's doing, but the front office does. Same. So I kind of revert back to the Kirby Yates thing, how they didn't bring him back. Well, they knew what they were doing. They knew that Kirby
Yeah,
wasn't
they knew the
healthy.
injuries. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that if they don't get a bullpen piece, I think that you can look into it as our addition is Matt Strom. So I think that's something
I
else.
like that too.
I think that's
I
something
really
else
like Matt Strom.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's something to take into account if they don't get, a reliever. Position players is another interesting, obviously position aspect of the team, possible additions. I don't think that,
Do you need me really? Maybe some
well,
depth guys?
look, you want to bat off the bench,
Okay.
preferably. That's what they need, right? You're not taking Myers out of the starting right field.
No.
Fam's great. Grisham's been great. You're not doing that. Uh Jorge Mateo, yeah, he's speedy, but that's I
That's
think
about
that
it. That's about it.
yeah, the Padres need, Hassan Kim's speedy too. He's sneaky fast too. So I
He
think
show up sometimes though. Jorge Mateo just seems to never show up, it feels.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
Unless it's 24-8 and one of the runs is the home run.
Yeah.
Or against the Diamondbacks at Chase Field earlier this year. And
His
so
first
when
career one too.
and
Yeah.
Bob Brenly accused him of cheating. So position players, you got a few names. What are you thinking of position players? Any names that
Well, one I've kind of had on my eyes, all year, I should say, ever since we played them earlier in the year. I went to the game. It was when John Kellenick was here. I don't know. I forget how to say his name. But
Jared?
Jared Kellenick. Yeah, he was here. Watched him play, but this guy kind of caught my eye. Mitch Haniger. Um, I really like him. He's a guy that can play. He's starting obviously in Seattle, but Seattle's they're doing all right this year, but I don't think they're a
He's the
contender. I
starting
think that they could
outfielder. I
sell
mean,
him.
yeah,
Yeah, I
the
mean he's
starting
good.
outfielder, but
Yeah, 100%. He's batting
2.1 WAR.
266.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay, so we had 266, but 22 bombs. That's good. That's really good. That's what caught my eye right away.
Former
58
All-Star,
RBIs.
free agent at the end after next year. So they have another
Yep.
year of control of him. If Pham doesn't sign back, there you go. Mitch Haniger's your
Mhm.
starting outfielder. That's a pretty dang good
I,
outfielder.
I, li- I like that a lot. That's what I was thinking too. I didn't actually see the contract, but that makes it even better. I think that the contract situation. I look at the bombs, man. We need a guy that can, besides Tatis and Machado right there. I think that you need a guy that can, give you a spark like that and hit 20 bombs. Tommy
Yeah, and
Pham,
you're
he's
not,
picked it up too.
yeah, you're not going and getting a Nelson Cruz just so he can DH,
No,
just so he can pinch hit. Like you
yeah,
want a
he's
guy that
40
can
years
play as
old. I
well.
don't
Yeah.
want that. No, yeah, 100%. I think Mitch Haniger fits that role perfectly. He can play the outfield. I don't know if he can play the infield too. I think maybe he can. I'm not sure. No, okay. I think that's Kyle Seager. Wrong white guy. Well, yeah, I think Mitch Haniger. That was the only one I really was looking at. I don't really think the Padres need a lot. I think just maybe one, really solid bench bat. That
Yeah,
can play a lot of flexibility in the positions. I think that's perfect, and I think Mitch Haniger fits that perfectly.
yeah, when you look at the, level of importance, deadline, you think starting pitching, bullpen, position players. That's
Yeah.
so, and we did it in order. So the four names I have here, you mentioned Mitch Haniger, he's a good fit. Chris Bryant, age 29. He's not a good fit in my opinion. Free agent at the end of the year. There's no point. There's no way they're signing him back, because he's a Scott Boras client. He's not going to sign an extension. Going to test the free agent market. He's guaranteed a starting spot elsewhere, and I don't think he'd be guaranteed a starting spot, obviously, in the outfield, but I'm not so sure that he wants to be what he's doing with the Cubs and just keep bouncing around. I think he wants to find a home somewhere, a one
I
spot.
agree. Yeah.
But it's still going to get thrown around. He's probably going to get traded. Age 29, 835 OPS, 16 homers, 48 RBIs, a WAR almost at 2. Again, but the contract is just 19.5 million.
Yeah,
Has
crazy.
he earned it? Yes, pretty much.
MVP.
Well, yeah, the Cubs MVP.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was an MVP. It was an MVP
Yeah,
1 year.
former, yeah, but I'm
No,
talking
that's what
about
I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, not this year.
Yeah.
That's Tatis.
But yeah, wouldn't trade for him unless an extension is, signed and, delivered. But so he's not a fit. Joey Gallo, I don't think he's a fit either. We can have an extended convo on that right now. Age 27, 902 OPS, 24 homers, 52 RBIs, a WAR over 4, So yes, that he's having a great year, all-star year. He would definitely help out this team,
But
offensively wise. But and there's a
yeah,
big
let's
but
talk
to
about it. Mhm.
that. Jared said this on the podcast earlier today, which you can go listen to, episode 42. Um,
Yeah.
he said that where would they put him? And this is just a casual. He's not a Padre fan, but he's obviously he's connected with baseball and knows what he's talking about. He literally just asked, like, where does he? He doesn't fit. He doesn't.
Exactly.
And you got this isn't like they're not trading with the team that is, oh, they're close, they're right there. No, this team's still rebuilding, so meaning they don't want to just take on a Will Myers contract because that's what they would have to do.
Mhm.
People I've seen, depth charts and all that with Myers on the bench and Gallo outfield.
I don't like that.
Okay,
No.
who the heck did they give to Texas then? There's a thing called it. It's not a free agency signing. Who did they give to
We'll just
Texas?
take him for free. Yeah.
Who did they? They're not giving Hosmer away, because no one is going to take his contract.
No.
No one's. If you're going to give Myers away, you're going to have to eat some of the contract. 20 million this year, 20 million next year. I think he's a free agent after 2023, 2022.
Yeah.
20 million 2022. So they're not going to want a rebuilding team's not going to want to take on Will Myers' contract to sit in right field and have 2016 overall all over again, but in a Ranger uniform where he doesn't win, and that's not going to happen. He just doesn't fit. You're not going to trade for Gallo and put him on the bench for an all-star. You're not going to, as an all-star, you're not going to bench Grisham. You're not going to bench Pham. That's not going to happen. He just doesn't fit. You can dream, same, like Scherzer. He doesn't fit. He's a free agent after the end of the year. He's a big name starting pitcher, but we already have the big names. We don't need the big names. We need the smaller guys, the inning eaters, who
Yep.
can stay under the luxury tax. This would stay under the luxury tax, believe it or not, 6.2 million arbitration in 2022. So you have another year of control of him, but he just does not fit. And the strikeouts, I'm one of those bigger, kind of older school guys that just the strikeouts infuriate me whenever someone strikes out that much. We watch Will Myers. Whenever I went to Sunday games, it seemed like he struck out 3 or 4 times a game, a few years ago. The strikeouts are just unbearable. When you strike out, like I couldn't even imagine being a Yankee fan right now when that's all their team is built on is home runs and strikeouts. A bunch of Joey Gallos. Like you're not going to win consistently like that when your team is built like that. When you're built on speed, getting on base, grinding through at bats, like Jace Tingler is taught, or not taught, but instilled in this, kept, hyping on that message to the Padres lineup. That's where you have success. And Gallo is not one of those guys. Just 2021, again, this is as of Tuesday, 114 strikeouts this year. Myers, who strikes out, he used to strike out a ton. He strikes out still a good, margin, good amount. He has 84. 114 to 84. That is
114.
that's
ridiculous.
30s.
That's an all-star.
30 strikeouts. That's a 30 strikeout difference for two guys that have played. I think like Gallo had a couple more games on him. Yeah, not 30 at bats. So like the strikeouts are, the home runs, great. You hit home runs, great. But okay, are they solo homers? What are the situation? And okay, what are you doing the other rest of the time? And it's a whole lot of strikeouts. So he doesn't fit the team. He literally, where would they put him? So yeah, your thoughts on Gallo?
I mean, okay. So beginning of the year, right? We had a kind of a little conversation about it. We had, I think, some fan mail where someone asked, who should we go after at the trade deadline? It
Who was
really
more
early.
likely, Scherzer or Gallo? Yeah.
That's what it was. Yes, exactly. And I was talking about Gallo and how I really liked him. And then, you kind of like start to watch him, right? You start to go deeper into him. You just go look at the stats. You go look at the advanced stats, as you said, the strikeouts, stuff like that.
It's not even an advanced. It's just,
I know,
this guy
exactly.
can't put the bat on the ball consistently.
But you don't look, just at the home runs, right? You look at the strikeouts. Mitch Haniger, as we were talking about, has 88 compared to 114. That's insane. And one's an all-star. And you would think, the guy with 88 strikeouts, so that's an all-star. No, it's the guy with 114. I get it. He has an amazing arm out there and right, but he's probably, if we traded for him, which I still don't, I couldn't picture a scenario where it would make sense for both teams. I couldn't see him out there and right. I couldn't see a fit. It's kind of a dream scenario thing, as you said about Scherzer too. It's kind of just like you're making a fantasy team almost. You're picking people up just from free agency, stuff like
If there
that.
was a universal DH,
Exactly.
that would solve the problem, but there's not.
Yeah, and you nailed it on the head, 100%. He's a guy that it's either home run or bust. That's basically it.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though. He has an amazing arm. I've talked about that a lot. He really does. He's an exceptional outfielder out there in right field.
We have Manny in right field.
Yeah, the shift. But no, I think Will is just as good, and we have him right here. And as a Padre fan that's been around for all these terrible, terrible years, Will Myers has been there from the start too. You think about that. I really wouldn't want to trade him. He's been that guy. He's been that guy since 2016. He's been the longest tenure that's on the Padres right now. I really couldn't see Will Myers anywhere else. He's kind of a San Diego legend right now, I'd say. I don't think that, going back to the Joey Gallo trade, I don't think that it would really make sense for the city. It's a big name. I don't think it would make sense for the team, for the fan base, anything really. It would just mess up chemistry, and we would probably lose a lot in it, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd lose a lot, with him, but it would I'll tell you this, we probably would not increase, our run differential as much, it would seem like, with the home runs he hits.
Yeah.
Moving to
100%.
Starling Marte, he's another guy that don't think he fits. He's a center fielder. We already have a great center fielder. 32 free agent at the end of the year, so he's not coming back. So again, you don't push your chips all in for a guy that would take you over the luxury tax. You're not blowing away people in the division. You might just be in a one-game playoff. He only has 7 homers, so he's not, a power hitting, center fielder or anything. Again, he just doesn't fit really. 2.5 wins above replacement this year, which is a good, solid MLB player. But he just doesn't really fit. That's one that I wrote down, but he's not. He's owed $12.5 million this year. I get it. The Padres wouldn't be paying him that because the seat it's prorated, so you wouldn't be paying $12.5 million. But still, it would still probably take them over or really close to it and prevent them from getting pitching, which they need more. But the guy I really wanted to pay attention to is Trey Mancini, age 29. I absolutely love this guy. Him and Mitch Haniger I like. I love Mancini. Will it happen? No, but I think it's something to dream on. I think it's something that he's a fit. I think he's owed $4.75 million in 2021, arbitration eligible in 2022, and 791 OPS this year, 16 homers, 57 RBIs, almost worth 1 win above replacement. So he's not. I don't think, to be honest, the Orioles now they're rebuilding. They're still not close in my opinion. And I think he's obviously now he's going to be 30. Do you want to build? As the Orioles, do you want to build around someone who is now in their 30s? That's not a good plan. Building around you need to build around someone who's a rookie. You need to build around Adley Rutschman, who's coming up, who's in his 20s, not someone who's in his 30s. That's not who you build around. So I think Baltimore would be better fit of trading, Mancini like this year or in the offseason when his value is highest. And the story is great, obviously.
Yeah.
Beating
100%.
cancer. you can't help but root for the guy, rooting for him in the home run derby, stuff like that.
Against, yeah.
Um, and I think he's a fit because he plays the outfield and he plays first base. When Hosmer's struggling, I know you've advocated for, a week off or something if he struggles. Mancini can
Just an
play
off day with
first.
Mancini, yeah.
Um, he could play the outfield. If Pham doesn't come back next year, they can't reach an agreement. He could play outfield. If there's a universal DH that comes in, there's your DH. So I think he's a fit. Would he now talking about this year's team? Would he, he'd probably, rotate, give days off, from guys, maybe a platoon with Hosmer at times. I believe he's a switch hitter, right? But
I think he's just a righty.
okay. Okay, so that works even better. When there's a lefty, you probably have Mancini hit
Yeah.
at first. Or he's a bench bat. That's a very great, really
Oh,
good
yeah.
bench bat. Again, is it gonna happen? No, because I think that, you know, the Padres, obviously Mancini wouldn't be at the top of their list. A position player is not at the top of their list in terms of, needed trade deadline additions. But I think it's something to consider maybe in the offseason down the road when, Pham wants to demand more money than the Padres want to give him, or, Baltimore, uh, puts him on the trade block and says, you know what, we love what you've done for this organization. We can't, we don't want to restrict you from winning in your prime. So we're going to go find you a fit where you can, fight for a championship, something that you can't do right here, right now. So, man, what are your thoughts on Mancini?
I think that trade option makes the most sense out of all the other big names.
Yeah.
If compared to um, like guys like Craig Kimbrell or Chris Bryant or
Right.
Joey Gallo, stuff like that. I think that it makes the most sense, but I just don't see them, going after a guy that's, he's playing good this year. He's going to have other teams, I think, that are, going to be gunning for him, going to be trying to get him. And I just don't think that the Padres, really have to go after a position player that hard. With all that competition there, I think, all the competition going after him in a trade, I just don't think that it's worth, giving up too much for Trey Mancini. I love the guy. I really wanted him to win that home run derby against Pete Alonso, obviously, but I just don't know. I think he would be a nice fit. Try him at first, try him out in the outfield, give him an off day. Have him come and pitch hit. He hits bombs, obviously, but I don't see it happening. I don't see a position player really happening unless it's a smaller name guy. I say because I think Trey Mancini's name is kind of really hot right now. But yeah, just those are my thoughts overall. Just
Yeah,
it
again,
makes the most sense out of those.
yeah, I think the off season would be a better, time
Yeah,
for that.
100%.
So yeah, there's our trade deadline targets. We got some pitchers, relievers, starters, like I mentioned, position players. John Gray's a guy to keep an eye on. Lester, maybe. Tyler Anderson, I think, is a great option. Ian Kennedy, Brad Brock, really cheap option. And then position players, guys off the bench, Corey Dickerson sticks out to me. Just guys, off the bench, guys that, have, history of pinch hitting. Uh, that's really, I think, what the Padres would go after because they're plenty athletic. I think they
Yeah,
need someone,
that
more
can hit.
better, a better hitter than Jorge Mateo.
Yeah.
All right. So that's been the podcast, guys. Braves recap, deadline targets, episode 43. Sorry about not getting both episodes out Wednesday, but we had the Carabas interview. Getting this out Thursday before the Marlins series. Again, 4-game series before they return home to face the A's and the Rockies. This has been Ben Fadden, Jacob Zimmermann. Till we talk next time, let's go Padres.